Hi, welcome back. This is my third attempt at making this video. Pelmeni, I need to get 3 cups of flour, an egg, a food processor. I have never had a food processor, and this will be the filling for a pelmeni. As I was growing up, what often happened was everyone would gather at somebody's house and they would make a batch of pelmeni. So I wanted to share a recipe from when I was a kid. And after 3 times, I still didn't get it right. So here's hoping, fingers crossed, third time lucky. But this is a Russian recipe. It's called pelmeni. They're basically dumplings, and they're the easiest thing to make and so cheap. One thing that I wanted to do, obviously, traditionally, it's a meat dumpling. I thought I would try and do a vegan one. I'm not vegan, I eat meat. But obviously growing a garden and having veggies, it's good to utilize what you have in the garden. So I thought, let me see if I can figure out a recipe to do a vegan dumpling for people who are vegan. Again, I'm not. So I apologize if this isn't up to tea, but hopefully you'll try it and enjoy it, and fingers crossed I do well. As a result of trying to do this 3 times, my freezer is packed with dumplings, and they're so easy to make and have for dinner. So there's a positive. So as a result, I will be having more dumplings in the freezer. So anyway, let's get to it. And I can only hope that you make this. We did it for a dinner. Hopefully I'll post the photo in here. And yeah, it was just for under $20, feeding 6 to 8 people. Like, it's a no-brainer to me. And yes, again, takes a little bit of effort, but not that much that I thought it was that difficult. So I'm going to share, I'll have the recipe linked below as to what I do, and yeah, I'll hopefully show it as we go along. So hopefully I inspire you to try it. Okay, so what you would need is 3 cups of just plain all-purpose flour. So this is for the pastry. Basically what I like to do is put the pastry together, set it aside, and just, let it relax a little. So 3 cups of flour. I do pop a good little handful of salt. Just good old table salt. It's, nothing special salt. You can do whatever salt you like if you want something better. Now, obviously in this recipe, there's an egg. If you're wanting to do a vegan recipe, omit the egg and just add a little bit of oil. So that will work fine. Obviously, just because I'm covering everything in one, just don't add the egg at this point. Just add a drizzle of oil, that'll be fine. And very importantly, 1 cup of cold water. So I always just leave a little bit, start mixing. Just because sometimes I don't put all of it in, and I just go along and add, and like to see the dough come together. Because then I think, oh, I didn't need to use all that, because sometimes your egg does the work for you. So to me, that's fine. So what I do is roll it out. Obviously, if you've got a food processor and you prefer that, go ahead, do that, save yourself time. But obviously, just for myself, I don't have a food processor, so we're just going to go do it the old-fashioned way with our hands. So, as I don't have any bench space, we're here, so just lightly flour, oh, well, not lightly, actually, I'll do a fair bit of flour, and just pop it on. You can also add more flour. I think I will just add a little bit more just to help shape it and come together. So just give it a good kneading. You can knead this for a little while if you like, but it doesn't really need too much. I just like to see it come together and just be nice and smooth. See, that's like, to me, that's lovely. So we're just going to pop it back in the bowl. Cling wrap it if you like. I usually just put a little cover on and I let it sit for at least 30 minutes and I make my filling and then we start rolling it out. Okay, so we're just going to cook this up a bit. I don't want the Russians coming for me. I get it. This isn't traditional, but the other part is. So they can just get over it, hopefully. So obviously there's a few things that I need to take into account. Obviously you want to shred and chop everything finely. So you've got your cabbage, I've got some onions, carrots, and with my mushrooms I had bought them already sliced. So we've got sliced mushrooms just because they're the same price as unsliced. I'm going to use virgin oil. Main thing with this is adding spices, and I think because what you do is boil this and you don't want it coming apart when it's boiling at all. You want it to stay together and be firm. So just wait for this to heat up and get going. Okay, so it's feeling hot enough. Just saute these till they start going brown. Okay, so these are just starting to go brown. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the mushrooms, cook them, and then take the whole thing out. Because a lot of these ingredients are wet ingredients, if you will, they're going to release a lot of moisture, and I don't want that to combat that after the fact. I need to combat that at the end when the filling is formed. Clearly, I should have used a bigger frying pan. I might do that actually. Let's look at swapping. Silly me. Alright, so wait for those to go brown. Okay. So, starting to go brown. And I do want these to brown off really well. Just a little bit longer. So just what I'm doing a little bit of is, whilst it's cooking, because it's nice and soft, just trying to chop it up a bit. Just for when we're filling the pastries, that the pieces aren't too big. Fairly happy with that. So that's the consistency we're looking for, and we're just going to put that aside. Okay, now cabbage, once you add salt, releases water. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing here, is frying off the cabbage and putting a good amount of salt, pepper, and just so it has the chance to release all the moisture. And then we'll add the carrot and the mushrooms back in. So I personally love vegeta. If you haven't seen this, get onto it. Your life will forever be changed. So some good amount of pepper. Oh no, now we run out of pepper. Tragedy. And I'm going to add just some herbs. I might leave that till the end actually. So just encouraging thought there'd be more moisture, but doesn't look too bad. Obviously, the more it sits, the more it releases. All right, add the carrot. Sorry, I'm not thinking of the aesthetically pleasing side of the video because clearly it's on this side. My apologies. Now with the meat, you don't cook it at all. So I recommend tasting this along the way. Or I should say at the end. So that it's not lacking flavour, because you don't mind if it tastes good. I might add my herbs here, just in a lot of my cooking I add mixed herbs, love them, great in many things. I'm quite impressed that it hasn't got too much moisture, but again, it hasn't been sitting there for too long. All right, we'll add the mushrooms back in. Obviously, if you love mushrooms, have more. I was just thinking of cost effectiveness, being that all this would cost under $5 for this filling. Just see if it needs more salt or pepper. Definitely a little bit more bitter. Just a little. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to add a little bit of soy sauce. All right, let's see. Yep, that's perfect. I'm really happy with that. All right, set this aside and we're going to do the meat mixture. Okay, for the meat mixture, I'm going to hopefully do it here now. So for the meat mixture, generally most go half pork, half beef. This one is a 70% pork, 30% beef. Obviously, you don't have to use pork. You can use full beef, whatever you want. If you're doing the meat recipe, it calls for a kilo. Because I'm doing half and half, I only got the 500 grams. So generally for a kilo, I personally only put in 1 onion. I think 2 onions, which a lot of recipes call for, is too much. So I'm a 1 onion person. So if you love onion, feel free. I also don't put in garlic. So if you wish to use garlic, again, use garlic. Again, the all-important vegeta. And pepper. I keep this pretty simple. That's all I like. So we'll just mix this up and get ready. The other thing, you can elect to do this or not, but I do a little bit, just a tiny little bit of herbs in this one. And traditionally, this recipe is has dill. So it's served with dill, but I pop a little bit of dill in there as well. Can't hurt. That's it. Okay, so now we're going to roll out our dough. And again, just a really well floured surface. And just with my dough, as you can see, I'm just going to cut it in half and start with half. All right. So I put a little bit on top. And what you'll also need is a cup to cut circles, which I shall show you. Feel free to use a cutter, but I just use a glass. So, just want to roll out the pastry as thin as possible. Again, you don't have to work with the full dough, so you can work in fourths if you prefer. So we can cut that and put it aside and just have the space to roll this out. Now the extra flour is not going to hurt it. I usually prefer less pastry. I rather more filling than the pastry. So this is the horrible thing about not having a kitchen, is that I have to work on this stovetop. So I just go around making circles, and usually when I put the filling in, I shall stretch this anyway. So just generally make a few circles to start with. Okay, that'll do for the moment, just to show you. And I shall get my filling. So you just want to work with a little spoon. Don't get a big one, just a small one. What you want to do is grab your filling into the center. And because this is a vegetarian one, I'm going to just try and put a fair bit in there. And then what you want to do is bring the sides over and just join them together. So pressing the sides like so. The pastry is beautiful. And then, so once you've got it here, you just take these two ends and join them together. And that there makes you a little dumpling. It's so cute. So just do make sure that is joined well. So that's all it is. Now, obviously, I've just picked cheap, easy ingredients, so feel free to experiment if you're a vegan and try things you like. I know there's different vegan products, but I just went with the basic. And hopefully they do not come apart when we cook them. Which I don't think they will. Pastry is so nice, so well, it feels fantastic. And I'll cook up these ones so we can see if they come apart or not. Now with the meat ones, same thing. So just put all the dough back in, roll it out. Again, I just like to have a good amount of flour on there. If you're having issues with your glass, just literally cut it with a knife. I will say these ones are probably a little bit thicker than I like, but with the meat ones, I kind of fill them up a lot. So generally, what I will do is give them another little just roll out so we can fit the most meat in there. So again, just on the spoon, little spoon, pop it in the middle, And there you go. Now, traditionally, you would cook it in a big pot and have the water come up to about here, boil it, and drop your dumplings in. Because I'm not cooking for people, I'm just going to do it in a smaller saucepan. So we're just going to bring the water to boil and go from there. Now, traditionally, you can put in 2 or 3 bay leaves. So you can just add, just makes the flavour a little bit different. No biggie. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. It's not an absolute necessity. Okay, so when you see your pot boiling, this is where you will be popping your pelmeni in. All right. Just drop. So you want to see them rise to the surface, and once they've risen to the surface, you want to give them about 2 minutes. Obviously, with the meat ones, they will be at the bottom for a fair while, and then this is a little bit quicker. So we'll put 2 minutes on the clock. I mean, traditionally you can go 3, but yeah. So sour cream. Obviously, fresh dill is a lot better. My dill is not looking that great, so it will be dried dill. So, all right. So I'm gonna have the vegetarian ones. I'm gonna admit I'm not. Oh, sorry, vegan ones. Well, they are vegetarian because I put egg in them, so they're not vegan. But should you make them vegan, I think it might taste okay. Well, let's see. It's actually tasty. I'll always be a meat fan, but again, if you're making this and trying to save money, I think it's pretty good. And it held up really well. The flavour is really, really nice. It's not soggy, it's fantastic. I'm hoping these ones would freeze well, but personally, I would just make them fresh and serve them fresh. If you were doing the non-meat ones, obviously, a lot cheaper. Also, great to get the kids to help with. And as you can see, That's what they look like, and they stay together. So 10 out of 10 would highly recommend. So hopefully that's inspired y'all to make some dumplings or pelmeni. They are a fan favourite of mine. So yeah, happy cooking.